Okay, if you visit monumentglamping.com, you'll see these structures alive and well. But we've also helped some friends build some other structures that aren't on Monument Glamping's website. I consider myself at an expert level on these structures, meaning we've built, we've maintained, we've permitted. These are unique structures that I've put on our glamping properties and people have put on their glamping properties also. So number one is safari tents. Safari tents are made with heavy canvas and a pole or timber structure built to withstand extreme weather and provide plenty of elbow room to be a comfortable living space in the wilderness. They are larger and more secure than traditional camping or pop-up tents and feature amenities such as a stove, furniture, and electricity. Safari tents are a popular glamping option for those seeking a luxurious camping experience in remote locations. In fact, I would say most people think of safari tents when they think of glamping. This is why I actually use a lot of my marketing material with safari tents and me in front of my safari tents and things like that. And it wouldn't be bad to start off with a safari tent if you're just starting off glamping. They're really cool, fairly affordable, relatively easy to set up, and a great way to establish your glamping reputation in your area. There are several tent vendors, and I have consistently gone back to the family-operated Davis Tent out of Denver. They're so close that I never pay shipping, and I just go pick up my tents and actually visit the owners, and we talk shop and gawk at their display of hunting mounts. It's really impressive. See, their primary customers aren't glamping operators, they're actually elk hunters. The original Davis tents were wall tents, or called outfitters tents, that serious mountain hunters would purchase for their hunts at 12,000 foot altitudes. My first glamping unit was a Davis Outfitters tent. They do a great job, and I've never had reason to go anywhere else, but I don't recommend the Bass Pro or the Cabela's type nylon tents. They may look like wall tents in the catalog, but you get them out into the wilderness and they are flimsy. The sun really wears down on them and they're just not that high quality. I would always go with the company that has thick, expensive canvas as their wall. There are prominent vendors out there like Montana Canvas, Kodiak Canvas, and Colorado Tents. You kind of get the idea. If they have Canvas or Colorado in their name, they probably are nice tents. Now, canvas tents can get very elaborate and expensive. There are companies, largely out of Europe, that identify as more of a safari brand than an outfitters or hunting brand. These are companies like Bush Tech and Cabanon, and they tend to push the $10,000 or $20,000 mark for their setups. Their displays are quite impressive at the glamping shows, but honestly, I find their tents no different than good old American tents. Two are container homes. Container homes are homes built using repurposed shipping containers. Container homes are known for their industrial and modern aesthetic and can be customized to fit various design styles. Container homes have simple layouts, but then also can be extremely elaborate as they stack and arrange the bins. It's kind of like grown-ups playing with children's blocks. They just keep stacking them up and arranging them differently. It's actually pretty creative. The cost of the actual container ranges between $2,000 and $8,000. And the cost to build out is no different than like a kitchen remodel or a bathroom remodel. And when you start stacking them up on each other, they multiply the costs. Container homes are a growing trend in the glamping market due to their eco-friendliness and unique design. Our son Micah actually built our first container home. He copied a model that he saw on YouTube. It's been in my yard since 2019, and we call it the Classic. And it was part of his Airbnb business at the time. I acquired it in 2022 when he wanted to sell it and put it off. I wanted to keep it in the family because he's built 11 other ones. Some of them he's sold to friends and family, and 5 other ones we have on our other property across town. Everyone loves containers, except the government. The building department has issued us violations because, well, they don't meet the building codes. Safety isn't so much the issue. They're fully aware that these are solid containers and they're really hard to make unsafe, which has kept our department from shutting us down. But because we use them as overnight accommodations, they want us to get permitted and engineered properly. If it was a home office out in my yard, they'd have no problem with it. If I was storing stuff in it and wanted to put windows in it, no big deal. But because people are sleeping overnight, their code requires more precise engineering. Here's how we're working through it. We're actually putting them on axles. It's a genuine loophole in the glamping world. Put any structure on wheels and you avoid building permits. Seriously, I've had RBD enforcers tell me that quite directly. Hey, wheels on it? out of our jurisdiction. Building departments are primarily concerned about safety, and they know full well that container homes are totally safe, but they don't really want to permit them because they don't meet their code. So they have literally advised me, put them on wheels, Jube. And that's what we're doing. Number 3, tree houses. Tree houses are likewise just as cool. They vary in size and design and are often customized to fit the specific tree and location. We've seen tree houses range from $10,000 to $250,000 and more to build out. Quite the range, as some people really go all out, building elaborate bridges from elevated hut to elevated hut like Ewok villages. Tree houses are a highly sought-after glamping option, especially for nature enthusiasts looking for a unique and secluded experience. Now, our family is no stranger to building out tree houses. Our son has helped a family build a custom treehouse in their yard, and to date, it's bringing them a handsome revenue stream for their country ranch. And that friend of his has helped his parents build 2 more. Treehouses are one of the most popular and most successful structures in the glamping market. Everyone loves treehouses, except, you guessed it, the government. Treehouses are just as difficult to permit, but there are ways to comply. 1, put it on stilts. The traditional treehouse is secured like a tree, like a deer stand or a playhouse. But just like shipping containers, this could be interpreted as unsafe and unstable when used as living quarters. Instead, have the structure built up like you'd see in a floodplain or a swampy landscape, but just in a forest. 2, make the trees accent the structure. We do this with one of our containers, one we actually call the tree house. It's not attached to the trees or it's not in the trees, but we have a tree sticking straight out its front deck, and it looks great and people love it. It's kind of in the way, but people love it. It's Instagrammable and Coolio Julio. So it's one of our more popular containers just because we call it the tree house. And 3, permit the deck and place the structure on it. Remember Danville in Florida? This is how he did his treehouse. He actually has a deck up in the trees, and then he has a yurt on top of it. And I bet that satisfied the building department. Listen, if you are blessed with trees on your property, a treehouse can be a safe, legal, and profitable glamping accommodation for your guests. Number 4, bell tents. These are round canvas tents with a bell-shaped roof and high center pole. They are easy to set up and can be customized with various amenities such as wood stoves or solar-powered lighting. Bell tents are a popular glamping option for those who enjoy traditional camping but want added comfort and convenience. Now, we picked up a 16.5-foot Avalon bell tent from White Duck's display at the American Glamping Association a few years ago. We love it for its durability and its aesthetic presentation. They look absolutely beautiful. You do need to stoop a little bit, but its interior is spacious enough to fit a queen bed, shortened table, and a small sofa. We built a raised garden bed along our creek to place the tent. Our glampers are able to hear the creek flow as they sleep restfully, a most serene glamping experience. Like safari tents, there's a lot of cheap spin-offs, and I advise you not to get those. Really, it's the difference between canvas and nylon. Those nylon tents are just cheap. I bought one for like $70 on Amazon, and I regretted it as soon as I set it up. It flopped in the wind and would probably be ruined in just a few months under the Colorado sun. White Duck is kind of the leader in the industry of bell tents, but there's also Lotus Bell and Canvas Camp that are notable brands that are out there, and I think there's a lot more, but I would argue that White Duck is the leader in that industry. And number 5 is bus renovations. Our family does have a hippie side, man. Even renovating our own schoolie in 2004. We picked it up for cheap from a local charter school who was looking to offload the asset, and we gutted it out and built a custom RV. What memories we shared with our schoolie. We seemed to be like the Partridge Family with all of our kids. The Partridge Family only had 5 kids. What a small family. But we didn't care. Some of our family's fondest memories were in that bus. In fact, when we were on television in TLC in 2008, one of our photogenic takes was on the school bus. Unfortunately, I sold the school bus in 2010, thinking I had little use for it. Boy, do I regret that. I'd be renting it out for $200 a night right now. Now, my son Micah acquired a school bus from YouTube star Matthew Doyon when they worked on a project together for one of his videos. At the time, Micah was thinking of renovating the bus for he and his wife, Kaya, to raise their children, but instead they decided to rent it out. They call it the B Bus, and it's one of his most profitable glamping venues. Bus renovations don't need to be school buses. They can be Greyhound coaches, city buses, trolleys, double-decker buses. They deck out just as nice. And cost of the renovation depends. You could go cheap like I did. I think I spent about $5,000 on it back in the day. Or Micah, he spent about $20,000 with those renovations inside. It looks very, very nice. I've seen some coaches go upwards to $100,000. In fact, glampers will be encouraged. There's actually a magazine out there called Bus Conversions Magazine, and it has a centerfold. You fold it out, it's actually a bus renovation, and it features a bus renovation. I think it comes out every other month. I used to subscribe to it when I owned my schoolie. So those are the glamping guys' expert opinions on safari tents, container homes, tree houses, bell tents, and renovated buses. But there's more glamping structures we'll get into next.